And then the guy replied, I'll wait for the next order. And that was very life-changing to me. I learned that day that you don't really worry about your future, but God will give you, as you walk in the paths of God, God gives you your next instruction. You just finished this assignment. And that was my experience with gaming, what gaming changed in the day when I needed it. That experience of understanding how life works. Good day, everyone. You're welcome to another episode of this podcast. My name is Piminata, and this is Speaking of God podcast, where we aim to change the narrative and bring God back into the conversation. So we'll be running this episode, and this is the season 1 of our special episode. We've been having great conversation with amazing people all the way, and we thank you all for coming along the journey with us. It's been such a great time. We've been having fun. We've been having a great and exciting time, and we've been learning so much. But just in case you haven't subscribed, I just want you to do something for me. You see the like button, the subscribe button there. I want you to hit on that, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, or any streaming platform, you can just do that. And you'll be doing the algorithm a justice by pushing out a great podcast like we have. Share with friends, subscribe, and let's have a great conversation. Today we are dealing with online gaming, mission, task, purpose, entrepreneurship, and faith. And there's no one I like to really talk about this than the guest that we have on this show. It's been quite a schedule trying to book him to come here to really have this great conversation. But we're finally happy to have him here with us. He's none other than Isaac Nyantaky, a great friend of mine. He's someone I learned so much attributes from: tenacity, endurance, problem-solving skills. You just have to meet him and your life will be set free. So, Isaac, thank you for even joining us on this wonderful podcast.
Thank you very much, Arthur, for having me here. And God bless you for wonderful work you continue to do. And I hope those viewers out there click the subscribe button, like and share, subscribe.
Coming from Isaac, I think the deal is done. I think the justice is done on this one. So, thank you so much. Well, it's as we said, we'll be dealing with online gaming, mission, tax, purpose, entrepreneurship, and faith. And the reason I'm trying to get into this is gaming has become quite important in our world, and few of us understand what its benefit is and what really goes on behind the gaming industry. It looks like a black box where it's only a special group of people, an elite group of people running everything, and we don't know what they're excited about. We don't know what they are chanting about. So, as someone who has really had a great experience within the gaming industry, I felt it, to my viewers out there, a great service if I could bring the man himself who has been within these sort of tunnels. And so Isaac will be taking us through a certain understanding of what really goes on within the gaming industry. So, Isaac, I just wanted to just ask you to give us a bit of your gaming experience. Tell us a bit of your gaming experience and what you've been really in the nutshell for.
So yeah, thank you very much once again. So I've pretty much been a gamer right from childhood. I started gaming from the year 2000, and I was about 8 years old at that time. That's when I started proper gaming with the Mario, Sega Mega Drive, Tetris, the Game Boys, so right from that start. And I have pretty much been a gamer going through my adolescent ages, playing with a lot of adult people, challenging people, especially in FIFA, which was pretty predominant in our culture. And I think as the years went by, and once I got to university, kind of saw a different route. Was watching a lot of YouTube at that time, seen a lot of esports tournaments happening, and I was really intrigued, and something really pricked me there. And so it's something I always wanted to explore because I was a competitive gamer. So hopefully as we continue the conversation we can delve much into the difference, but there's a massive difference between an esports player and a gamer. So a gamer
Mm.
is somebody who's playing games casually, not in the competitive scene. Now an esports player is somebody who plays like video games but in a highly competitive scene. So there are two different sides of it, and they have their different diversity in that particular fashion. So that was
Wow.
how I got into the esports era. So I moved from a gamer to become an esports player during the university time. After university, still playing. I used to travel from one city to another city to go and compete with other gamers. We had a lot. Sometimes we had cash prizes as well. So trying to drive the competitive edge in me with gaming, but doing my masters in China, that was when I saw esports and the potential of gaming in terms of a business. So it's something I usually used to do when I was doing my masters. I used to go to a lot of game centers in China, spent all nights at game centers in China with a couple of Chinese people. And it gave me the opportunity to look into the esports arena and also into the gaming sector as well, entrepreneurship from there, business development from the gaming scene that exists in China in that respect. So I have now been able to use that knowledge to set up my own company called Motherlandgaming Television, where I deal with broadcasting esports or gaming content from Africa. So
Wow.
yeah, that's pretty much what I do now. But I also have other teams that I manage for other companies in terms of games, and I'm also very much into anything that has to do with gaming and the future of gaming and esports in that particular combined manner.
Wow. That is definitely quite an intro. Well, so when you're speaking, you're talking about Mario, Sonic. I'm sure the nostalgia was high out there for those who remember
Yes.
the childhood experiences. And um you you not just take it like, okay, simple FIFA, okay, let's play it outside there, let's play it on your birthday, let's play this competition, just like many guys do. So you're really teaching us that there seems to be a difference between the esports player and the normal player that we have. But
Yes.
why? First of all, I just wanted to really understand how the market itself work. Um, why did you feel it lucrative to enter into the gaming market? What was the perks that they were selling you even there?
So I do believe that in every generation there's something that always stands out, or there's always a birth of a new beginning. And doing a lot of research, I realized that back in the 80s there was a massive drive for music, and then just a little bit in the 90s, music more fused with a lot of movies. And now even in this era there's a lot of movies, but what is next? What's the next big thing? The next big thing is gaming. Gaming, as it stands, gaming in its biggest fashion has been in existence for just about 10 years. Where companies have really invested a lot and stuff like that into gaming. It's just been about 10 years. And within that 10 years, right now, the revenue that is being generated from gaming alone is more than movies and music combined.
Wow.
The stats are there, more than movies and music combined. The
Wow.
revenue that's been generated from gaming. So it tells you that that is the next big thing. Now, something that comes naturally to me, that is gaming and being involved in the gaming scene, I found that as a passion, that is something that can also generate employment, not just for me, but also for other people as well. You can create employment using that passion. You can use that passion to create employment for people, and people can come out of poverty from that. So that's something that really drove the scene for me. And looking at the next generation, which is going to be gaming, it is important that we delve into right now and become the forerunners in this particular expedition.
Wow. Wow. I never you should have told me that earlier. I would have been changing some of the the life decisions I've been making. Wow. it's so interesting because you really make us see the perks that is in there. So it's not just okay, maybe perhaps we used to play okay, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, what do you call it? Street Fighter and all that.
Street Fighter, yeah.
For all those action gamers, arcade gamers. But this is now we've moved into a certain different era, which is that it is giving quite a lucrative opportunity to many people. And it's
Yes.
yeah, wow. Then I think I should be changing my life decisions because we moved to a certain direction this time. Well, but that is really, really quite a great thing. Well, from at least following the gaming history for a while, we've actually seen this trend before, right? We've seen from the emergence of the gaming industry from the time of Pong, the Action Invaders and co. We saw a point where the gaming industry was quite big, huge. Everybody was into gaming. And then suddenly we saw a time where it was like the bear market. Nothing was really happening. Nothing was, no game was selling. And those who had invested in it all lost all that they had. And we are seeing another era here. From what you're saying, this is a revelation to me because normally when we talk about big markets, we normally relate that to okay, perhaps the movies, the music industry, the hype is out there. But what you are telling us is that there seems to be another market which is bigger than all these industries that we think are the biggest. And why don't we know about it? And why is it a different world from the normal world that we are all living in? And we are not seeing the opportunities there. What's really the challenge in there?
I can bring it down into a very realistic sense, right? Now, Elon Musk bought Twitter. How much did Elon Musk buy Twitter for?
I think 44 billion, right?
44 billion. Twitter is the mouthpiece of the world. It's pretty much a lot of money, right?
That's a lot of money.
Guess what?
For a social
Guess
site.
what? Microsoft bought Activision for $70 billion.
Whoa. Wow.
Microsoft bought Activision for $70 billion, the highest acquisition of any company so far. Whoa. $70 billion. And that just went through this year.
So right now, officially, for the sake of our viewers, no, Activision are the ones that produce, is it Call of Duty or?
Yes, Call of Duty. They have other platforms, other games that they have on their platforms. But most the very popular one is Call of Duty. That is the one that a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, and Call of Duty, by the way, it's not just popular like Isaac is trying to play it out to be. It is the Call of Duty. The best-selling franchise, right? Not Super Mario would take the best-seller, and then you're really revealing something to us, especially from where we come from, where maybe parents are advising their children to go into music, to go into other stuff. You yourself are an academician. You understand the value of education and you understand all those things. You've been in the industry sector. You worked with companies here and there. But what you are trying to tell is that there's another way out there for whoever is interested. And what makes it different from what we've been doing so far? Playing FIFA, boys playing FIFA, people playing. What happens when you take it serious? What seems to change? And what value do you get from it when it moves from just playing boys to a different kind of serious competition? What seems to change about it altogether from what we've been doing normally?
The best way to understand this is to look at gaming as a whole, as a sport, or esports as a sport on its own. Just like we have every other sports like football and rugby and cricket, we have the amateur level, we have the casual ones. For instance, like in our school, university, we have people who meet around and play football for the exercise of it. They still apply the same rules as those in the Premier League, but the Premier League people are making a lot of money. Now, I'll explain to you this. The digital world, in its expansion, right now has created room for people to accumulate views, right, while they're playing the games. So in these the two routes that I talked about, which is playing casually and being an esports player, they both have their different routes. Playing casually on your PC or a console and then streaming it live on YouTube, you can accumulate views that can generate revenue for you. Now, creating those views and having those subscribers has a ripple effect because it can just be applied just like a normal YouTube channel where you can get sponsorships on board from the viewers you're making, right? You can pitch and get marketing deals with the views you're making. You can create content with the publisher, right? The publishers are the people that create the game with the numbers that you're making. So it becomes a whole entire ecosystem for the casual gamer. For the esports player, you are playing in the top 1%, the highest level. So anybody that wants to learn the game wants to see you play. They idolize you, just like people idolize Ronaldo and Messi. We have our Ronaldos and Messis in the gaming world, where if you want to learn any new thing, you want to go and watch these people play, right? So those people are also being idolized, and that's what they are being idolized by the biggest or the majority of people who exist, or the majority of people who exist in this world right now. And the age group is what is most important, is the youth.
Wow.
Right? The youth are the biggest in the world right now. If you look at the pyramid, the youth are the base, right? Now, if you have the base being in tuned with a particular genre, that is a lot of money right there. Be it casual gaming and in esports, or in a competitive scene. So these two paths can lead you into something great. We have a lot of casual gamers who are not esports players. They are playing for the fun, the vibe, their personality, their characters that they portray while they're playing and while they're streaming is what people are in love with. We've got esports players who are just dead on, don't smile, don't laugh, are just playing the game rigorously and just, absolutely tearing the game apart. People love that. So you have two different content creators, but on two different paths, but all still playing the game. Now, the catch here is most of the games are not free.
Oh.
Like FIFA and Call of Duty, the top games are not free. For instance, if you subscribe to Spotify, I don't know how much Spotify is a month, but I do know Netflix is about $10 a month. Amazon Prime, they're about $10 a month, $5 a month. Now, Call of Duty or FIFA will probably cost you about 100 to 150 bucks for the game. How many Netflix months are you going to watch to get to that point? How many people are buying the game? A lot of people are buying, millions of people are buying the game. Now, it's one thing buying the game, there's a whole ecosystem that is involved in a microtransactions that happen within the game. So you buy a game for $100, $150, and then you spend way more during the year buying skins and coins and players and different avatars in the game during that year.
Wow.
Most of these games have seasonal packs. Seasonal packs mean that they have probably a period in time where they're doing certain, different promotions or promoting different things. FIFA, for instance, or Fortnite, let's use Fortnite. Fortnite is a battle royale game. In Fortnite, they have seasonal packages. So, for instance, for the next 2 months, we're probably going to do maybe Spider-Man avatars or what's it called, or Disney World avatars or characters. Now, for those 3 months, people are going to pay about 20 bucks or 30 bucks for them. In the next 3 months, they'll come up with a new season with completely different characters, maybe the boys. For another 3 months, you probably pay 20 or 30. You've already bought the game for 150 bucks already. So this is why we say it is bigger than music and movies combined. Now, we even have situations where casual players and esports players have become avatars in the games, and people and their fans who idolize them are buying them and using them as operators in the game.
That is level.
Yes. And this is happening every time. In most games right now,
Wow.
that is the new trend.
Wow. So wow. So let's take a step back and walk through where we've been coming from. So it means that you just playing your Super Mario in your room, you just playing your Fortnite, PUBG, whatever game
Mhm.
you're playing out there, all the current games, multiplayer games. Um, there's a level at which when it comes to the esports is big deal. You are sharpening your skill. Everybody's trying to get
Yeah.
to the top 1%. So it's just
Mhm.
skill and also knowing trying to get to the enterprise itself of gaming. And it's very nice
Yeah.
for me to really observe what you've been talking about. There seems to be this economic machine built upon the game, which is different from other industries. You spoke
Yes.
about even the arsenals and stuff you have to purchase that is given up. And all these things, sometimes you need real money for them. This
Yes.
seemed to be a natural economic machine by itself, and I understand why the gaming industry is um, functioning in this way. For instance, when um, within my field, which is at least within the blockchain space, when it came to the implementation of what the blockchain would be, everybody knew one thing: the natural platform would be gaming. So it wasn't so much of a difference. That like the gaming people understand how money work. They will pay the money. They would they would. It's not like, oh, sign up for free. They know when it's free. The next thing is next year, so they will pay for it.
Mhm.
And so what you are really telling us is this: that they really understand economics in gaming. It's naturally built for that community itself, right? And that's very interesting.
Yes.
But at least where I come from, we seem to be in a different part of the world. I'm seeing a bit of this in the Western world working because their system is the bridges are built in a very special way. What do we experience the same thing, especially from the African perspective? Are there some communities that have built, or are there growing communities out in respective countries? You can let us know. You're taking us through the tunnel, so you are bringing us to the world out there. So yeah.
Yes, certainly there are other African milestones that we have achieved. We have achieved so much more in the last 2 years in the African esports terrain. We have formed a lot of alliances with a lot of African communities, and we've championed to try and bring servers in West Africa. There are almost every game that exists in the West has a server in South Africa. However, South Africa is not Africa, and Africa is divided into subterraneans, and sometimes the West is completely far from South Africa. So we've been able to bring a lot of traction for FIFA to bring a server in Nigeria, Call of Duty Mobile as well. We're trying to get PUBG Mobile. So there have been a lot of alliances that have brought a lot of potential growth for esports into Africa, just like the West has done. The West are definitely far further ahead, but Africa, as we stand, we're still trying to catch up, and we're making putting the block work in place to make sure we have a great foundation to build our esports off of. Because if you look at in terms of scale, with the same environment and the same technical know-how, we can compete. We just don't have the right service to be able to play well as much as the West do. But so that's what we're working on right now. But we've formed a lot of different African alliances that are helping to make this possible.
Whoa. Well, and are you getting the support that you need? Are there companies stepping in to support all these communities? Perhaps maybe competitions, um, giving competitions between countries and no, within cities itself. Are you getting the support that is needed within that?
I wouldn't say we're getting all the support that we need right now, but there have been potential, sponsors who want to at least give you an ear. I do tend to find that a lot of the companies that have their mother companies in the West, in Asia, and in America tend to appreciate when the conversation comes in the forum. They tend to appreciate what we're talking about. and try to understand and try to see how it works in the market. The truth of the matter is right now that esports or gaming as it stands is still a new market. So we are now trying to find the different dynamics that are involved in this aspect. So think about it. If this is the birth and we're making this amount of money and this amount of revenue, think about what's going to happen when we start really, really developing and pushing through. Because right now, a lot of companies, the biggest deal for them is marketing, right? How do they get their products? How do they get to market their products through gaming? How do they tend to reach more people through gaming? And how does that translate into sales? That is what a lot of companies are looking for. How does the marketing translate into sales? Perhaps there's another school of thought that says probably shouldn't look at a direct impact from sales, from marketing to sales, and probably look at from a different parameter and say maybe a rich, more people, you're reaching more people. You are probably instilling certain morals or ethics or certain narratives to people rather than directly directly tangenting the marketing to sales. So these are the different conversations that are being had. Companies that have mother companies outside tend to give an ear, and companies that tend to have younger people or younger CEOs tend to give an ear. It's just still a big deal for the older people to try to comprehend why should I pay. People are just going to try and play games. So that's the difficulty that we do face. But we're trying our best.
But are there some good stories, at least some good stories you may have? Like, well, I can see some people really doing great work, whether it's maybe Letty Arts and other companies in Africa, just even switching up from the online gaming itself to just native gaming itself, different kind of game. There seem to be a lot of people with different ideas on their online store. Are we seeing some big things happening on the graph where we come from?
Yes, certainly. Letty has done fantastic trying to portray African, doing African games. We've got other young boys who are also developing games that are on Play Store and App Store. We don't have the AAA kind of setup, but we're trying to do our best. We do have a lot of community bringing, and we do have a lot of esports teams that are springing up. And right now, there's this bubble or this smoke of rivalry that really is needed in our space, like the way football grew up, or football blew up with the rivalry of Manchester United and Arsenal, Chelsea. The rivalry is what breeds the game. Without the rivalry, there's really nothing, there's no substance to it. So right now we're creating a lot of rivalry in the space, and it's generating a lot of attention, and we're trying to use the influencers as well. They're doing so well with us, collaborating with the gamers and trying to create an atmosphere. We've seen a lot of TV stations that have sponsored our program. We've had a lot of tournaments in TV station studios. Certain banks have also given us the certain sponsorship, especially with Nigeria, and we've got a lot of individuals or young or angel investors who see the potential and are also investing in our space. Microsoft as well has also done a good job by bringing in a lot of expertise to try and help the mobile gaming era and the mobile gaming scene in Nigeria and Ghana and in Africa, West Africa, to be precise. So yeah, you're doing pretty good job.
That's beautiful. And quite positive for I believe that we have a lot to give to the world, and we have systems. Sometimes people assume as if when it comes to the market, Africa is left out of the market, but there are so many gamers that actually know more games than what people know. There were Sega, when it came, had the largest market in Brazil as compared to even the US. So different markets produce different things. China also has a great market in itself, and Africa also has its great market. But let me have a tangent here. When it comes to gaming, it's quite broad. Everybody has their own interest. Different kinds of game, RPG games. You mentioned the New World games, arcades, different things. And coming from a soccer country, I'm sure the FIFA ranks high on most people's mind. And rather than, do you people make arrangement for multiple games that perhaps would interest even different genders? Women will like a different kind of game, not killing people every day, but different kind of games. Do you people make arrangement for all these sort of preference types and genders and all that?
Yes, we do. And interestingly, it's something that we've been thinking about over the years and looking at how new the esports scene is or the gaming scene is. I quite remember there was a tournament that I did 2 years ago at my church, and in this tournament, and it's something that we've been talked about in my classes with Barcelona. There was a situation where a lot of the times when gaming events are organized, most of the time organizers are thinking about the gamers. They're thinking about the pros. And so we have to develop a new way of gaming concerts. Think about the audience, the lay people, the casual people, as well as the gamers. So in this particular tournament, what we did, we had this opportunity for the professional players to play. And we also had certain aspects or certain games that were for people to just casually play, for cash prizes, for rewards, and just casual people playing, having fun, and enjoying themselves while being in the presence of other pros. So they watch the pros play during the break times or during the free times. They also get to play and enjoy themselves among themselves. You get,
Wow.
and we have VR. I personally thought that the VR session was the most entertaining session because you had people wearing the Oculus, and they were playing games, and you had like this guitar games that were playing, and then they had like roller coaster games that were playing, and then they were screaming, and they had boxing games, and they had to move around with their hands, and that was quite entertaining. In fact, that was way more entertaining than some of the pros, what the pros did, because the pros were pros. But the casual people, the layman, those are where the natural beauty comes out because there's no pretense. There's a lot of joy coming from playing those games. So that's something that we definitely have to look into and see how we can bridge that gap. But definitely there's a gap there. So it's something that we gotta work on and try and increase the potential of just serving other people with different games.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to sort of, you're going to take me through even the setup, take me through the industries of trying to set up your stuff, your gears, everything, the platforms and everything. But before we walk through that, we're still going to stay within the community itself. It seems like the main thing that has really grown within this online gaming thing has been the community it generates and it produces. Right. There are a lot of
Yes.
happy people, there are a lot of sad people, there are a lot of angry people, there are a lot of joyful people, all connecting through these communities, playing games, achieving an aim, a task together, different decision making skills and everything. What have you really enjoyed within this community? What's the benefit interacting with people within several online communities? What has really been the benefit? Because this is different from a social community where social media is also doing its own thing. It has community, but this is a different kind of community. You actually play with someone, you form a bond with someone. What are some of the stories? What are some of the things you really enjoyed in there? And perhaps it could encourage someone to hop in.
I have met so many good friends online,
Well,
especially in the Call of Duty community, because you see, for instance, games like FIFA, you get to meet one person at a time, right? So, and most of the time, they don't even speak. Most of the time,
they
they
score
rarely
you.
speak. They just score. You just see people moving around and playing the ball, and But games like battle royales, games like FPS games where you team
Yeah.
up, those are the games that I really, really interest me because there's a lot of lessons that I learned there. Team building, right? Camaraderie, being able to interact with random people, and then creating an idea or a way of play. Yes, so the skill of being able to adapt to new people, interacting with them online, because you most of the time you meet a random people and you have to interact. You have to come together to achieve something in a game. So those skills are intertwined in a whole multiplayer session. Now, with my experience, when I got myself into the gaming scene in Ghana, I play with a lot of people online, random people, Ghanaians, met some Ghanaians, we just became friends. We started playing together, right? And then we form a community, and then we have a WhatsApp group. We have over 300 people,
Oh,
200 or 300 people on the group.
wow.
I think the WhatsApp couldn't take us enough. We had to create Telegram and stuff like that. So we have a massive community, and we've been playing together for maybe 3, 4, 5 years. And then one time, I think last year or so, during my birthday, I decided to invite everybody, or to create a situation where during my birthday, you know, we could just show up and then meet
Nice.
together and celebrate my birthday with me. And I was surprised how many people were happy about it. So we had people coming from Sunyani, from Boga, Volta
Wow.
region, all across Ghana, and a lot of people also in Accra, and they all came to my house, and it was amazing. I had about 60 to 70 people in the
Mm.
house. It was astronomical. And the interesting thing is, we didn't know our names. We just knew our game names, right?
Oh.
So you have 60
Nice.
people in a round table, or I wouldn't say table, the rounds in the circle, right? And we're going around identifying ourselves. So you say your name, you say your game name, and everybody's like, "Oh, so you are that? Oh, so you are that? Oh, so you're that?" And then we've been playing together. We've been friends for 4 or 5 years, and a lot of them have been friends for years and have never met each other. They have contacts on WhatsApp and phones, but never met each other.
Wow.
And from that day, after that bonding, the community grew astronomically. Like we became a family, right? Because
That's
now from the gaming, we met each other. After meeting each other in the game, we physically met each other. We become friends. We're trying to create a situation where every year we have a get together for the gaming community. So that was something that could never be achieved if not through gaming.
Well, that's so interesting. This shows what the world has changed really into. The internet has really come to really connect people together in such an amazing way with the tools like game and all that, and even people from different parts of the world who do not know each other, but just through one thing, just begin to bond. This is what we need to be channeling our investment into. So it's such a beautiful story. Is it so? Now let's talk about the walk me through the process. I want to enter into the online gaming world. I have no I don't have money. I have money to buy stuff.
Mhm.
Let's take a step first. Okay. Let's talk about the GS you need. And then we talk about the platforms you need to even beyond whether you want to stream. You take us through the process itself.
Okay, thank you very much. And so, first of all, the biggest question you got to ask yourself is, what interests me?
Mm,
What do I like? That's what you want to start from. What do I like?
mm,
So if you're an adventure kind of person, you like solving puzzles, you want to go into the adventure kind of games where there's a lot of puzzles, you can solve situations like that. And then you are happy. If you're a sports person, you want to look into an NFL or FIFA or eFootball, you know, that's if you're a shooting kind of person, you're a military kind of person, or you're an objective driven person, somebody who likes creating achieving objectives, you want to look into the FPS world, right? Or the first person shooter world. So once you identify that genre, then you can look into the different games that are available in those genres. Yeah, if you're the kind of person that wants to play fast thinking kind of FPS games, you want to look into the battle royales. If you're into person who's kind of slow, laid back, you want to look into Rainbow Six Siege. So these are the different genres that you want to look into. Now, it's very important to go on YouTube sometimes and just check out gaming. Just check out Twitch. Just check out gaming and just see what people are playing. Sometimes I do realize that when you see other people playing and you enjoy what you see, you might not be interested in it, but to see it is something you want to try. So that's something that you want to do. You want to get as much knowledge into the game that you want to play. Now, identifying what platform to take, it's a very difficult choice, but I tend to think that it has a geographical boundary. For instance, if you're in Africa, right, you're looking at spending a close to about 8,000 Ghana cedis, or about $1,000 for a console, Xbox, PS, console. So that is quite a high price. So that's the entry level. Right. So that's something you want to look into. If you're in a bit of Europe, America, or you're a bit of a high budget kind of person, you want to go into PC. PC is always the ultimate gaming platform. Right. With PC, you can do everything.
It's a
PS or
computer.
of course, the computer can do everything.
Can do
The
everything. That's what
consoles,
I
you
know.
can do what the console can do, but the PC can do everything that a console can do. Right.
That's
So
true.
that's the ultimate thing. Yeah, so depending on your budget, you want to look whether you want to start with a console and then you want to transition. You definitely want to transition to PC at some point, but entry level, we want to start with console. And also for portability sake, sometimes the console is better. Sometimes to the PC or the laptop is better. So if you're somebody who's very nomadic, you move around, the laptop will probably be a good choice for you. But ultimately, the desktop is the ultimate choice. So that is the platform. If you want to start streaming, the most important thing that you need technically is not the camera, but you need the microphone. You need to speak. People got to hear you.
Oh,
Right?
that's
You got
weird.
to speak. People
I
got to
thought a
hear you.
camera would be the best. People looking at me rather than speaking.
No. Interestingly, people like you, but people don't like you as much. People like the game more. So if you have good gameplay, right, and you're speaking as an entry level, people appreciate that way more than just you playing the game or just seeing things move around the game and nobody putting their voice to it. Okay, so that's very important. You want to get good sound because a good sound can keep people engaged. You want to keep people engaged because that's what's going to drive the numbers, that's what's going to drive the views, engagement. So, good sound keeps people engaged. People don't want to see a good gameplay or nice game, but the hair scratches. It's going to be a turnoff, right? People want to hear good sound because naturally the human brain reacts well to good sound. Okay, so you want to get a good microphone or a decent microphone, and then you want to have the gameplay. You want to be able to record the gameplay, or you want to stream the gameplay on PC. You want to be able to have vMix or OBS. I would advise you have OBS because it's lighter than the vMix. So OBS, and then there's a whole tutorial online how you can set up the OBS. We can do that another day. I could set up the OBS for streaming gaming, but that's definitely what you want to do. And most importantly, internet. You gotta have internet. If you want to play online, you gotta have internet. Because without internet, you can't play online. You can play offline and upload it later on, but ultimately, if you have internet, then you can play online. You want to play online, you want to meet new people, you want to interact with new people, make friends with new people, that kind of thing. So you want internet, good internet. If you don't have internet, you have to find a way to get internet. If it's something that you just don't have the ability to have internet, then you have to do the offline and then record it and then post it on YouTube. So that is the entry level. There are other sophisticated devices like probably get to the mixer at the end for different sound. You want to get a soundboard where you can have different pads on it, or you can have your webcam on or a camera on for people to see your face. But I've seen a lot of channels that have grown with millions of subscribers with no face on. So it tells you the face is not,
Wow.
it's not something. Yeah, the face is not something, but the game and the sound. Because as you're playing, you're watching them, you're hearing them. That's the most important thing, because you're watching the game when you're looking at a video, not necessarily a person. So the gameplay and the sound is the two most important things. So that is basically a brief walkthrough of the different platforms: Xbox, PS, PC, and sound. You get a good microphone and then a gameplay.
So to the viewers out there, just like Isaac said, get your stuff ready. You don't know what this is going to take you. You may be the next guy that we are buying the assets and that's now. So
Yep.
that's so beautiful. Wow. But when you're speaking, you were talking about Twitch, and I don't want to be nerdy about it, but what can I do? I'm so interested in the nitty-gritties. So what are gamers looking for when they are looking at your game? Whether you are streaming on Twitch or any other live streaming platform, what are people looking for? What's your gameplay? What are the metrics that are being looked for, depending on the category of game that is? So you can take us through what people are looking for and expect you to be good at doing that.
So in the gaming scene, we have different levels. The first level I would say is the tutorial level. If you're a tutorial person, you walk people through situations, right? So you don't necessarily show your face, but then you can show what's going on in the game, do different scenarios in the game, how to achieve different things in the game, how to solve certain puzzles in the game. So that those can be like different chapters or different YouTube videos, how to do a level 1, level 2, that kind of thing. Or you can do a whole 4-hour, 5-hour walkthrough, of a particular game. So that's one level, right? The other level is the skill set, how to do difficult skills in the game, and not just doing them with a computer or with a bot, but doing them in real life, right? Or doing them in a proper game sense. So people come to see the different skill levels, see the different things that they can do in the game. So that's so the tutorial is one thing, but then there's a tutorial with skill level, right? And then you have the casual person. So the casual person will probably be a bit of a higher budget, because then your face becomes interesting, your character becomes something that is interesting. People who are very bad in the game sometimes have 1 million subscribers plus because of their character, the way they play the game and the way they behave while they're playing the game. How frustrated they can be when they are so bad, or how annoying they can be when they're so good.
So like the great controversy, they create so much controversy around that.
Exactly. So how you can stir things up. So depending on the genre you want to find, depending on the particular gap you want to find it. So we've got gamers who are just tutorial people. We've got people who are skill people, and we've got people who are the casual people, and you like their character. It's just fun to watch. They're moving and they die, and oh my God, you're angry and you're screaming, and it's just entertaining. You're playing FIFA and they get scored, and like, oh my God, he's cheating. Those are the reactions that come forth. It's so funny, it's engaging, and then you're chatting with a live chat, and then their character is showing from there. People enjoy that. And then we also have the stats people, the nerd people. Right? The people who do videos with stats, right? This player has a higher level shot, this formation has a better angle, blah, blah, blah. There's a new update coming through at this day, blah, blah, blah. So we have people who are into the whole stats of the game, right? So for instance, if every aspect of the game or every season during the game time or the game lifespan, we've got different content creators around these games. And then ultimately you have the esports players who probably at the end of the season of the game challenge at the highest level for cash prizes, right? So those are the different dimensions that you can look into when get into the gaming area. Tutorial, nerd stats, skill base, and then eventually the esports.
So that means it's all about values, right? The value you provide people, whether you give them the tutorial one, the emotional connection people feel with the shout, the screams, the disappointment, the frustration. Wow, that's definitely something. And I can see why people spend so much time on Twitch and the other
Yeah.
platforms like that. And um, that's great. We'll come to some aspects of that in a moment. But let's switch gears a bit into the negative aspects of gaming itself. Surely you've seen things go quite great in which you've made $1 million, but you've also seen things that's gone wayward, because if you can't control that sort of excitement, like everything else, there seems to be a direction downhill. Um, can you tell us about some aspect like gambling and addiction that sort of results, and your take on those aspects?
Yeah, I think in every life and everything in life, you need to create a balance. There has to be a balance. So sometimes when you adolescents, they do need guidance, on how and when to play the game, except if it's something that the child wants to do. For instance, the child has identified that he wants to be an esports player. You can't play games for the rest of your life, but esports is just like going to an academy, that kind of thing. So there's a different routing. However, there's still education in it, and there's still balance in it. And I tend to feel that a lot of people who sometimes get addicted to games sometimes tend to be a bit introvert like and do not want to associate with the outside world. So those balance
Yeah.
gotta be created, or else it can really be it can have a negative effect on the person. So if it's all about balance, it's knowing when to stop, knowing when to play, depending on the mood you are in. So different moods give you the opportunity to play different games to counter those moods. Like for instance, if you're very sad, you had a terrible day, there are games that you want to play that will just lighten you up and just give you a bit of a fresh air to process everything. And there are games you're in a terrible mood, you do not want to play because it's probably gonna increase and make it worse. So identifying those things are very important, and it is something that has studies have shown that yes, there could be negative effects to it if people don't have the right balance. So it's something that we definitely are looking into and trying to identify. And health wise as well, it's very synonymous that you see gamers being tangent with junk food, right? It's something that with a burger and the chairs and
It's part of the
the junk
years.
food. Exactly. Fizzy trains, that kind of thing. So there's a whole company that deals with esports health. Right,
Oh.
we've got esports health. Yeah, there are companies that deal with esports health. So they're also trying to bring in healthy, balanced diets with esports and exercising and that gymming and that kind of thing to help with the body and all of that in esports and in gaming. So in everything, like I said, there's always a balance that has to be created, and 100% there's a negative effect that, if not taken care, can be quite detrimental.
Oh, that's true. So I'm warning to everybody out there, and just like you said, it's actually very dangerous. That kind of power, that kind of virtual power, that creating a reality in a virtual world and living in it, being successful in there, it makes you forget the real world that has nothing to share. You have people that interact with you 24/7, and you look around, as nobody is interacting with you in that kind of way. There's so much, and the brain also cannot really differentiate between what is real and what is not. So you really sucked into this virtual world, sort of this sci-fi era sort of space,
Mm-hmm.
and that is very powerful. So I'm just happy that there are some people responding to that aspect of um, the health aspect of all that, because you can't live in a virtual world when there's a real world. You can't live in a virtual world for so long, especially in the kind of games like the New World games and all that, where you actually feel you are living in Assassin's Creed era. Could take you to years before, and I think that's something that we should be careful of. Also, the gambling aspect. I don't know whether you wanted to touch on that. The,
Yeah,
the ability to
I forgot.
put money into something and say, let's go for it. it's it's so much dopamine going out there. So what do you
Yeah, and
say about
it's
that?
quite illegal because gaming, in its sense, the worldwide view of gaming is that we have a zero tolerance towards betting and gambling. Okay, so it's very difficult for the betting companies to kind of get into gaming because it's a moral thing, and because a lot of kids are playing games, something that can easily go out of control. So it's something that they don't usually do. You don't find a lot of betting companies into sponsoring games. Most tournaments will, if you are qualified for a particular tournament, will say it will make sure that any sponsor of any esports team that it's a betting company, there are certain rules and regulations that are involved. So there's a big curb on betting or gambling in gaming. But on the other hand, there is the offline, gambling aspect, which I, to be honest,
But
I
we don't
think
tell
I was kind
anyone.
of involved. Exactly, where it's not online, but it's right there. Because we in gaming, what we call the wages, right? Wages. So we don't say gambling, we say wages. For instance,
Wages.
you know, yeah, wages. So
Oh.
if we put a particular amount of money on something, who's able to do this or who's able to get more kills, able to score more goals, takes the money.
Mm.
You know, that's the wages. But most of the time, the wages are from a sponsor, right? They're not from your pocket, but from a sponsor, right? However, there's also that offline gambling where a group of friends like put in 10 cities, you to put 10 cities. If I score
Mm.
you, lose a piece, that kind of thing, those little things are there, but it's not really uh it's really something that has we can really look into, but it's gonna be tough to really curb it down unless we try to bring in rules and regulations. But they are not under any body to for you to instill those kind of rules and regulations on. So yeah.
And I think the gaming world has done a great job about that, ensuring that it still keeps that integrity it has, at least on the forefront.
Yes.
I can't defend them other than that because
Yeah.
yeah, and the excuse they
Mm-hmm.
gave it was it helps to sustain the game. And so we need to buy, we need to develop, we need to pay developers, we need to do this. Where are we going to get the money from? So bringing in their understanding was it helps in the sustenance of the game. Well, they have an
Gaming.
economic reason for that. So it's quite fascinating to know. So switching off to a different side of the discussion, we've understood the the things you need to be a good gamer, the metrics, the GS. We've spoken about the community. We've learned a lot about the side effects and all that. Um, as a gamer yourself, translating most of the ideas you learned in gaming into your real world, um, I'll give a preamble to this. So, I remember once, a friend asked me to. I was feeling very down one time, and a friend asked me to come over, to play. At that time, what was Call of Duty, the franchise version. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very down. And I just finished the task. At least I'm sure he gave me the basic the basics to play, not experience level. So I felt like I was achieving something. And upon completing the task, the question was, so what is your next mission? And at that day, I was very sad, very confused. Um, I didn't know what my future was. So I was just contemplating my future. So that was why he asked me to come over to just clear off my mind. And then the guy replied, I'll wait for the next order. And that was very life-changing to me. I learned that day that you don't really worry about your future, but God will give you, as you walk in the paths of God, God gives you your next instruction. You just finished this assignment. And that was my experience with gaming, what gaming changed in the day when I needed it. That experience of understanding how life works. I don't know how the experience has been for you, both spiritually and in life in general, translating the things you've learned through gaming and applying them in the real world. And you can take us from that.
Yeah, for me personally, I think what gaming has done for me is giving me a good cognitive memory. Like when I get to a place, I can scan one, two, and I know every single detail of every single
Whoa!
part.
From years of playing New World games and all those kind of games where you are lost
Exactly. Of
everywhere.
new maps, memorizing the maps, memorizing the angles. So boom, once I get to a place, geographically, I know my left, I know my north, my south, my east, my west. I know my cardinal points. I know where I am. I know how to get out, right? And it's helped me in my directions as well, because I mean it's something that always my sister, my parents used to say, I never get lost. When I get to a place, I usually don't get lost because I usually know from my bearings, because of the numerous times we played a lot of map games. So that's something that's helping. And it also helping my problem solving, because I'm always solving problems in the games, right? Difficult situations. Sometimes even when I lose, I process it, and I'm like, what would I have done better to survive the particular moment? So that helps me in my problem solving ability, and also helps me to be calm in tense situations. Because sometimes you can be in tense situations most of the time in the game, and you got to remain calm and you got to process and be able to navigate your way out of the problem.
Oh,
So it's helped me in that problem solving and navigating path. And very most important, it's also helped me to meet people randomly and just take on. I can meet you for the first time, and I don't even need to know what you're on about, but in the conversation, we'll be able to flow, because we've met random people so many times. We've met people who've been rude, and then in their rudeness, instead of you retaliating rudely, you reply politely, and then the person feels, oh, maybe it's not that kind of person. Oh, where are you from, dude? And then before you know, you become friends, and he apologizes in the end, and then because you're like, oh, it's not like that. So those are different things that I've learned so far during my gaming experience, and I think they're
so in
positive
terms
things.
of character, you've really grown just by sitting in your room,
Yes,
putting on a headset and entering the world and coming out. It's like
yes,
in terms of wisdom
exactly.
you've gained, in terms of life lessons you've gained, in terms of patience you've grown into that. Wow, that is worth it. That is totally worth it. I think I better get some device in here. So it's like you're really running a simulation of the world before you enter the real world. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean, and there've been several times where, not several times, but there've been instances where people have flown planes using Microsoft Simulator. Microsoft
oh,
Simulator is one of the
oh,
biggest and most demanding games I've ever seen in my life. It is extremely demanding when you put it on your PC, and it gives you a very vivid and almost sort of true characteristic of flying.
wow.
All the processes, and sometimes it gives you the exact flight distance. So you're gonna have to fly 10 hours. You fly 10 hours to your PC all the way to a different country, that kind of thing. And it has saved lives from that.
Oh. So
Yeah.
you finally realize that the calm pilot is really not just calm like that. Wow,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah, people
beautiful.
learn a lot from that. Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
I just love it, and we are really living in a very wonderful time. So you learn so much life, and even the fruit of the Holy Spirit are developed, just like we are talking about your interaction with people, and then you had to pull up patience and know how to really
Hmm.
deal with people, the emotions. What do
Yeah.
you do in challenging times when things are not working out for you the way you are, when you are stuck, when you don't know, and when there's also a money prize on top? What do you do? So those are,
Oh.
I can really feel what that means, and that's a great step. But in terms of purpose, what what do you learn from all your experiences so far? What has it taught you about your purpose, your mission, and accomplishing the reason why you're on earth and what you need?
It's interesting. I've always been of the view that anything that they can wake you up from your sleep and you can do it without thinking, you gotta watch it. You have to watch that thing. Like there's something everybody has that once they wake you up, you can do that without blinking. Like boom,
I'm wondering what
you
my
know, that is something that it means that this thing is something that's embedded in you. Like for instance, I can bet you Lionel Messi, he can be sleeping, he can wake up, he can throw him a ball and he'll control it.
that boy, the
Right.
ball follows him. He doesn't follow the ball.
The same thing. I can just wake up and then I'm thinking, oh my God, how did I die last night like that? That guy that killed me, man. I gotta find a way to and that's it. Boom. That's how I'm processing in the day. And I sit by the PC and I try to go through all of that. And it's quite interesting. Something I can do for hours and hours and hours and not get tired. We've been playing the same map for God knows how long. I mean, there were times I think I've accumulated about 1,000, 2,000 hours already in the game. That's a lot of repetition. It's not as if it's changing. It's just a lot of repetition. So it tells you that, yeah, there's something going on there. There's something that you got to watch out. And I've also realized that through my education and my work experience, I met a lot of very, top people. But ever since I get myself in gaming, it looks like I've I've elevated in the kind of people I meet. The conversations that we have. We're talking. We're not just talking about things that have been established or things that you've been born. You're talking about things that are new to everybody. You're paving the way. You're a pace setter. So that was something that really touched me. That was something that gave me this drive. Like I'm a pace setter, because a lot of these guys right now that I have that are very organized, they weren't organized at the beginning, but with my experience and my educational level and work experience, bringing that into the community, trying to instill a lot of discipline, camaraderie into the community, respect in the community, regardless of skill gap, has and interestingly, they seem to listen to me. So that's something that praise me. Like, okay, I'm making sense to these people. So and anything I tell them, they tend to appreciate that. And when they take it into consideration, it helps them. You're able to build talent. We built talent from scratch, from zero to hero, and we're doing more again. We've taken people outside Ghana to go and play in 100,000 tournaments, not just once, not just twice, countless times. You know, People had absolutely no idea that gaming could change their lives. We've done it countless times these years. So the ability to even to change lives based on this particular field that I find myself, I definitely know for a fact that I'm in my purpose, more or less. And not just me, but even looking at other people who've really made it in gaming. I mean, they would be working for years and would never make that amount of money. Years, Arthur. Years will never make. Probably lifetime would he make that kind of money.
Yeah.
I have a friend I was in class with this year. We're in class from January to June. And in August, he flew to Saudi Arabia to play the Guinness 8 World Cup tournament. And he won the Rainbow Six Siege tournament. So the Rainbow Six Siege from Germany, and that was about $2 to $3 million in 1 week. $2 to $3 million.
Wow. I think I just,
This
this is
kid,
the
man.
biggest mistake of the year. The fact I didn't shout first for hearing 2.2 million. Wow.
Two to
That's a
three
lot.
million dollars. I
Wow.
don't know when you and I are gonna make the money from lecturing or from academia. It would take a miracle, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is what this young lad has made within 1 week. I mean, we've gone to tournament, people will play for $100,000 plus. You know,
And what's the
Big
number of
Brother.
hours? What's the number of hours it takes sometimes
Oh,
in the competition? The
I
tenacity in
mean,
the
maximum.
stand.
I mean, I don't think anybody can go on more than 1 hour of intense gaming.
Oh,
More or less than 1 hour. It's usually less than, but you might have different levels, different competition, different brackets, that kind of thing. But usually the span doesn't go more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right?
oh.
If you look at Big Brother, for instance, how big Big Brother is, like it's a big thing, right? And the prize pool is $100,000, right?
I
People
thought
play a
that's
game less than 1 week. After all that, people play a game with less than 1 week and make $2-3 million. This is
wow.
more than a reality show. Gamers 8 prize pool was $50 million. Next year, we're going to have the esports World Cup. And I don't even know what the prize pool is going to be. It's definitely going to be more than a $50 million.
I can see why people are so excited about it, because you get to have an exciting you grow your skill, and there's
Mm-hmm.
this economic reward. The gaming community have always had a framework for their economics, which is why perhaps they
Yeah.
do well,
Yeah. And
because
it's
the music
interesting
industry
because,
may not.
the league structure that we employ, most of the time, people that qualify for these tournaments, everybody takes home something. So it's not just the winner.
Mm.
Everybody that qualifies goes home with something. So that's something that I wanted you to know as well. Yeah, continue.
Well, that's beautiful. And
Yeah.
so eating in from what you were speaking about, it has offered you the opportunity to really interact with people, to speak into their lives, to um, share what you believe is your worldview of how life
Yeah.
should be lived, and has really influenced their life. How has even, first of all, it helped you? Perhaps this could be our final question and a wrap up from there. How has it really helped you in trusting God, and secondly, opening the opportunity for you to share your faith with people and bless the life of people in so many ways?
I mean, I think it's one of the biggest things for me because coming into the space in Ghana, for instance, where it was pretty much non-existent, and believing is something that was in my heart, and believing that this is something that God wants me to do. So that means that the only thing that can come out of it is success, or a process, or a germinating process. Success is usually at the end, but you can see progress, right? And for us to be able to establish what we've been able to do just in like 2 or 3 years, it has been amazing. And so I'm definitely very grateful to God for granting us the opportunity to be the pace setters. I always use the word pace setter because we are now trying to create the path, right? People were playing for free. Now we're trying to bring standardization, trying to bring rules, regulations, contracts in to try and bring sanity in the environment, and to try and make ourselves appealing to the world, and bring organization into the whole esports space. We've got a whole esports association. We've got a government what's it called, ministry. We've got an esports government ministry, right in Ghana. So a lot of these things that have been put in place, and all of these things have been a major player in these things. I would never be part of these things if God didn't direct me to move in this particular area. So all of the different things, and sometimes I even met this man, forgot his name, but it's called Thomas. He's the inventor of fiber optics,
Oh,
right? Thomas Mensah.
yeah,
Yes.
the Ghanaian,
Professor
yeah.
Thomas. Yes.
Um,
Yes. I met him, and we're talking about esports, how we can
um,
continue to channel esports, and how the esports market can be beneficial to the telecom sector. And these are very interesting conversations that, if this was not the will of God, all of these doors that are opening, you know, they would be shut, or they would never be existent. So it tells me that yes, God in his own way and in his own wisdom is directing us to be pace setters, but be pace setters in the right direction with the right beliefs, with the right morals. Because the first organized LAN tournament in Ghana, when I say LAN, a tournament where everybody comes and then we play. It doesn't happen. Well, everybody comes when we play different games. We did that in my church. The church organized that, and this was not just for church members; this was for the whole of
That's
Ghana.
beautiful.
Yes.
That's
So
taking,
now,
yeah.
exactly. So now, when people come to church, they said, "Oh, okay, non-Christians, Christians
I
interact.
love it. I
And
love it.
there's an element of God in there. We can share the gospel through that. Because the truth of the matter is, whether we like it or not, esports has come to stay, gaming has come to stay. The world would definitely catch on it. What is the church going to do? Are you
Yeah.
going to sit down and watch them move this narrative, or you're going to jump in and move this narrative with your beliefs and with your morals? That was um, the tangent that we're working on. We gotta step in and we're gonna direct this. So we're gonna direct it and make sure that people are polite to each other while playing the game. People are cordial. People are not rude. People don't cheat people. So all of these different morals that are instilled in the Christian values can be channeled through gaming as well into to impact lives of people.
Wow. That's so great. So really what we've seen here is God leading you throughout this whole market and teaching you ways, letting you meet great and amazing people, encouraging
Yes.
your faith, giving you the opportunity to simulate the real world before you enter, and so many things coming
Yes.
as a peg to that. So we really learned a lot. And before I go, this is actually what we do here, speaking of God. And one thing I just wanted to say is that the gaming industry has really, whoever has been in the industry has really learned a lot and has been taught a lot. But I wanted to also advocate the fact that the one that can really satisfy every person's soul, even as we move as gamers, even as we move as players, is Jesus Christ, the only one. And so he is a great leader who leads people through the right path. So whatever you do within your space as a gamer and everything, no matter the time you play, there's only one person that can really fix and complete you totally, and that is Jesus Christ. So, even as you closing, Isaac, what last line do you want to tell, encourage people within the industry, within the space, and what do you want to leave us with?
First of all, I want to say a very big thank you for inviting me here in this wonderful podcast, and I hope your viewers and people are going to be listening to us subscribe, like, and share again.
Yeah.
But most importantly, it's quite interesting because I always say that right now in this era, the people that are successful are people that do things that they are passionate about. We've gone from an era where people do things that, for just doing the sake. Now we're in an era where passion leads. The big celebrities and all the big people who are making all the big bucks are all doing things they love or they're passionate about. So passion, if you're passionate for gaming, it is something that you can make a lot of money from. So it is important that you channel that passion in the right direction with a good balance and with God on your side. It's important to always seek the face and the will of God in everything that you do. Once you do that, God in his own wisdom and direction will direct you through his word in order to make the right decisions so that the passion that wells in your heart will come to fruition, will become a fruitful thing for you and your family. So that is what I want to leave. Everybody follow your passion and make sure you follow your passion with the will of God.
Wow. That is the beautiful ending to this wonderful podcast. I told you the guest that we bring in is super and fantastic. Quite an example for me personally. I'm actually copying and pasting him like something. So he's such a great friend and I'm privileged to know him. So Isaac, thank you for even joining us. on this episode of the podcast. Yeah, so we spoke today about online gaming, mission, task, and faith. And in case you haven't subscribed, this is the Speaking of God podcast, where we try to understand different worlds and we try to understand different industries while really focusing and looking at Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. So, in case you are very interested in wonderful episodes coming our way, you can just subscribe and just keep watching us even as we travel with you. So, Isaac, thank you for joining us today. We really had a great and blessed time with you. Hope we see you making more amazing strands and going up each and every time. Okay. So, thank you all for joining
Thank
us. And until we meet again, this is Speaking of God. Thanks for joining the discussion. Bye.
you.